our dress up dinner for our reunion. Lenore and Howard. Donna May over there. Burton Mim. Jeanette. Chris Deloda and his mother Lois. Lisa Friesen and her husband Brad. Cindy Nyhart and her husband Bob. Back to us is Mike Sullivan. Princess Megan Sullivan, Elaine Jansen, and her son Nicholas, and her husband Joe. Lenore Adams and her husband Howard.
The same kind of thing happened. Some of the ones in the eastern Norway, some of them couldn't handle the weather and the climate, so they had to go west, you know, because they just couldn't take it. And it got to be kind of a rivalry, and it was a little more drastic back then. And it got right down to plain old warfare. And one dark night, the West Norwegians came and snuck up on the east, and they started throwing dynamite over the fence into their camp. So the east had to think real quick, so they quick led them and threw them back. And then pretty soon they moved to, years later when they started migrating to the United States, it got to be a little more civilized, and same thing happened east and west, and east challenged the west to a football game, and game was going along real good, and airplanes were kind of new and stuff, and one happened to go over and a sonic boom went off, and the east, well, they thought that's the end of the game, so they walked off the field. And so 3 plays later, the West got a touchdown. They won.
Yes. Ludefisk. Two little dots. Ludwig, L-E-W-D.
Oh, Lude. Right with Rude.
Okay. Give us a tone.
Well, just pick one, no. We'll just take one from there.
Yeah. Oh, Ludefisk, how fragrant your aroma. Oh, Ludefisk, you put me in a coma. You smell so strong, you look like glue. You taste just like an overshoot. But Ludefisk, come Saturday, I think I'll eat you anyway. Oh, Ludefisk, I put you by the doorway. I wanted you to ripen up just like they do in Norway. A dog came by and sprinkled you. I hit him big and overshoot. Oh, Ludefisk, I now suppose I'll eat you as I hold my nose. Oh, Ludefisk, how well do I remember on Christmas Eve we'd receive our victories of December. It wasn't turkey or fried ham, it wasn't even pickled spam. My mother knew there was no risk in serving buttered lutefisk. Oh, lutefisk. like Errol Flynn?
Here's the first two. Okay, it's getting bigger here. I guess before we get started, I'd like to tell a little story here about how Lenore and Elaine decided to one day, they were on the farm, they were starting to get a little older and wanted to find a husband. And they thought, well, now how are we going to do this? And they thought, well, in the good Scandinavian way, they'd learn how to ice fish. So one day they went out and they saw a bunch of cars parked around this ice pond, and they got out and said, well, where are we going to cut a hole? And Lenore said, well, this looks like a good spot. And so they go out there and they start drilling away. And suddenly they hear a voice, there are no fish there. So they looked around, they were kind of curious where this voice was coming from, so they thought, well, let's try over here. And they went over to another spot, started drilling a hole. There are no fish there. And they really were getting curious now, and Elaine looked at Lenore and said, do you suppose that God is speaking to us? And they just kind of shrugged it off. So they finally went to another spot across the pond and started drilling their hole again, and suddenly, there are no fish there. And Elaine looks up and says, is that you, God? And suddenly they hear, no, the rink manager. Thank you very much. We really enjoy your support. We do the cocktail show in the lounge later on. But anyway, we do have a few jokes here that Lenore was nice enough to make us read. And I guess we'd like to read them now. Oh, okay, I guess I'm being your Jay then. Okay, what do you want? I'll speak into it now. Yeah, okay. Anyway, here we go.
Joke number one.
Number one. Please rate these on a scale of 1 to 10.
Have any of those cards left?
You'll find a small piece of paper
Stuck under your chair.
either that or to your shoe if you want to do that. What is the difference between ufta and vida?
Ufta is dropping a sack of garbage. Vida is getting your hands in it.
Okay, probably about a 2 or 3, actually. Why don't Norwegians play hide and seek?
Because nobody wants to find them.
Page 2.
Why don't Norwegians tell Polish jokes?
Because they don't understand them.
The Norwegian asked the Dane, did you ever eat lutefisk?
The Dane said, no, but I think I stepped in someone. Page 3. I think,
How long have you guys got?
okay. Do you know why the Norwegian lady quit using the pill?
It kept falling out.
Thank you very much. What do you call a 35-year-old Norwegian in the 3rd grade?
A genius.
One joke. Oh, no. Were we supposed to say that?
Yes, you
Oh.
each have a separate joke.
Oh, I see. Go ahead. Sure.
I gotta read through it. Oh, there was a Norwegian so dumb he thought a Polaroid was a condition that came from sitting on the ice. On the ice.
Oh, on the ice. I thought you said in the ice. On the ice.
I think something is wrong here. It's not quite working correctly. A Norwegian went to the doctor for a physical, complaining about his sex life. The doc told him to walk 10 miles a day, then call him. A week later, the Norwegian called, "How's your sex life?" asked the doctor. "What sex life?" said the Norwegian. "I'm 70 miles from home." I'm 70 miles from home.
Oh yeah, how do you let him absorb it a little bit?
I'm 70 miles from home.
We don't know if they're laughing.
Times is too many.
It's saturated.
I don't know whether they're laughing at the last one or this one. How do you hide money from a Norwegian?
Place it under a soap dish. 70 miles from home.
Keeps falling slow. What happens to a Norwegian? Oh, what happens to Norwegians who can't tell putty from Vaseline?
Their windows keep falling up. But only when they're
7 miles
Sitting on the ice.
we're almost done here. You're very welcome. We'll be signing autographs in the lounge later. Did you hear about the man who was half Norwegian and half Japanese?
Every December 7th, he goes out and attacks Pearl Olson.
Oh, look at the bartenders. You gotta fan the bartender. Hand the bartender.
Don't leave, we're still going.
They're obviously not Norwegian.
Why do Norwegians have such pretty noses?
Because they're hand-picked.
Has everybody enjoyed their dinner?
Who invented limbo?
Crack yourself up, eh, Bob?
A Norwegian trying to sneak under a pay toilet.
Or what did the okay, we'll laugh later. What did the Norwegian say when he saw his first pizza?
Who threw up on the left side? That's all, folks.
Now, the next honoree has left the room, so when Donna Mae comes back in the door, I want you all to applaud. And then we will present her with something. So we'll just have to wait. There will be a little lull in the program, unless Bobby has other jokes.
Awesome.
I suppose you wondered what that's all about, Donna Mae?
Happy I came back from the bathroom.
Initially, we thought Donna Mae was the oldest in that group. Now, that honor goes to Kurt Gibson. I don't know if he wants to claim it or not.
Yeah.
We'll have a round of applause for him, but no present. No present for Kurt. Now, until Ellen came, however, she really is the oldest in this group. But in the immediate family here, Donna Mae, at age 60 in March, is the oldest, and we'd like to present her with a plant. And another round of applause. Now, the other thing, Julie has been about her job for so long that we had to honor her once again with a card and a bottle of champagne to take home with her, and another round of applause. And she will give a little acceptance speech.
Well,
Thank you.
okay. I deserve this. I do. For the last 12 years, I've been working in the Lutheran schools for about half the salary that I will be getting this next school year. I don't regret my years at the Lutheran Church, but I am ready for something else. And I deserve it. I honestly deserve that. So, by the grace of God or whatever, He has put me in a position where I can do something a little more. And it was a lot of prayers and whatever, and I beat on man for the job. And my position is a brand new position in the Big Lake School District. I'll be working with 4 other men, and my responsibilities are about 17.
Why, you used to be single.
4 other men?
Yeah, well, that's beside the point. And my official position is called Associate Administrator of Social, whatever. And I'll work Vice President Principal, and I'll work 40 weeks a year for not bad money. And make this short and sweet. I'm just glad I got it because now I can do something with my education, which I did. Well, thank you.
Okay, this is Out Here on My Own, and it is called Fame, and that's hopefully what I'll get. So. It's from the movie Fame, and sometimes I wonder where I've been. Start on the wrong note. Who I am, do I fit in? Make believe that it's hard alone, out here on my own. We're always proving who we are, always reaching for that rising star to guide me far and shine me home, out here on my own. When I'm down and feeling blue, I close my eyes so I can be with you. Oh, baby, be strong for me. Baby, belong to me. Help me through, help me need you. Until the morning sun appears, making light of all my fears. I dry the tears I've never shown, out here on my own. When I'm down and feeling blue, I close my eyes so I can be with you. Oh, baby, be strong for me. Baby, belong to me. Help me through, help me need you. Sometimes I wonder where I've been, who I am, do I fit in? I may not win, but I can't be thrown out here on my
As most of you know, and let me jog a few of your minds, if you have not remembered, Kurt and I have been married 40 years this year. 4 years is rubies, and if anybody wants to still send rubies, I'll be celebrating all this year. And as most of you know, I had my whole family in my wedding party except Lenore.
Oh.
And tonight I would like to make Lenore an honorary bridesmaid. And before I do, let me have my wedding party up here. First of all, I had a groom, and his name was Kurt.
Hey, Kurt!
Kurt stood on my left. I had a maid of honor. Her name was Donna Mae. A bridesmaid, Lois. I had a little junior bridesmaid who was taking the camera, and would somebody like to take the camera from her? She was my junior bridesmaid, Marlene. I had a little flower girl, and her name was Elaine. Elaine stood between Lois and Donna Mae, so that because she cried on Lois's dress after falling off the altar rail and turned around the big spot on Lois's dress. And then Kurt had a groomsman, several, but one of them was my brother Dick. Now, if the 3 minutes are up, here comes the sad part. Lenore was not in the wedding party because the wedding book, who was Emily Post, said that the little flower girl should not be older than 4 and the bridesmaid should not be younger than 12. And being she was right in the middle, Mother says, we mustn't have her. She is either too old or too young. So we made her a long dress, and as I walked down the aisle, here was this little girl sitting all by herself. Sitting all by herself, and it got to me. So for 40 years, every wedding anniversary, I have looked at the pictures, and here's all my family except Lenore. So Lenore, would you come up tonight, and I'm going to make you an honorary bridesmaid.
This is truly an honor. Well, wait a minute. You'll find out, because most of the weddings where I've been a bridesmaid, or should have been a bridesmaid, the people, marriages may be questionable, or the people are now divorced. So God had something in mind when He didn't let me be in your wedding. You've been married still.
Yes, unfortunately, divorce never did come up in our conversations. Murder, maybe, never divorce.
Madam Bride, I have one important thing to say about this wedding. When we came 2 months after the wedding, all the little girls at Scandian Grove were talking. Wasn't that the most beautiful wedding? Oh, they were so lucky. Oh, it was so much fun. Oh, I wish I could have been in.
Well, they were right.
Whatever.
Fortunately, that would have never happened today. Come to think of it, she's almost too old to even be a bride today. No, only kidding. So, this precious moment, little bridesmaid, I want you to accept with my apologies, and
you are now an honorary bridesmaid so long as we both shall live. May I kiss the bridesmaid?
Oh, Elaine, I don't want to take anything from you. I mean enough to you as it was. I hope nobody are you going to talk tonight? Elaine? I may have to leave if Elaine gets up. Next on the program is Lois, for someone from the Delota family.
I know, yeah, I think I might leave.
The Delotas are squirming in their seats now.
Came, I have to tell you about this story. Every summer, Jack and his brother, is it loud enough? Yeah. Jack and his brother and sister always came to visit us on the farm. And being who we are really active and as a pretty athletic family and so forth. And we used to have games where we'd try and see how high we could jump or how far we could jump or whatever. And this one time we had a park bench that stood up about this high, I suppose. And we took turns and everybody sailed over it like gazelles, and Jack was the last one to go over. And Jack was kind of a little short, stubby guy when he was little. And when he came time, he just blubbered all right over the top of the bench. And it was really embarrassing for him, but I thought I don't know if you remember that or not, Jack. You probably just soon not. Okay.
Oh, I don't know where to start here.
3 minutes.
I think we all have our little anecdotes about the things that happen in a family, and this has to do with Elaine. I think we were all home at one time, and we sent her out to the porch to look for shades or something like that. I can't remember what that was. It doesn't make any difference. No, that's the punchline there.
Oh, good. Now I know.
Anyway, she was out there for the longest time, and she came back in and we said, "Did you find what we sent you out for?" And the shades or something, and she said, "Oh, I thought you said Kleenex." And that's still, whenever somebody makes a boo-boo, we got one in our family, and it has to do with Pete. We were going down towards south of Neckwood one time, and here's this big, it's a real big fancy house, on the side of a hill, and Pete pops up and said, "Who lives there?" And I think it was Nomi or Becky said, "George Mitterwald." Remember George Mitterwald? He was a baseball player with the Minnesota Twins. And Pete said, "Really? Dad, he really lived there?" And we all go, and every time somebody makes a boo-boo in the family now, there's George Mitterwald lives there. We all know what's going on.
It's so funny, this whole night, and so I thought I would kind of sober it up a little. And I found among some of the writings I have an excerpt from an article written by Ruby Karstead in 1924 as a student at St. Olaf College. And Ruby was one of my dad's sisters who died. I think she was 42 of cancer. 39. Was she 39? Somewhere around there. But when I read it, I could almost, I said to myself, this is really something I could have written if I knew how to write as well as Ruby did, or my darling sister Lenore. But I thought I would share this with you because it's sort of what I really feel in my heart as to my family. As I traced with my parents the short reach of my ancestral line known to them, I was impressed and my thoughts disturbed by what was revealed to me. I saw a line of ancestors very commonplace and ordinary in their achievements, yet how great, how worthy of pride in their beautiful lives of toil and hardship, of faithfulness and devotion, of sacrifice and life. As far back as my vision is permitted to go, my direct ancestors have been toilers of the sea and of the soil. A few cousins and distant relatives have become, in a small way, eminent among other lines, but the great part of them were sturdy peasant folk. In my grandparents, I found an element that breaks the monotony of the thread. They are the only ones of their respective families to break the home ties and venture from their native land. The call of the unknown and untried, the beckon of the land of promise and adventure found a response in their hearts. Doubtless there was also the factor of economic necessity, the difficulty of earning a decent living for wife and family. So with all their worldly goods, they joined that great stream of pioneers who were to build the foundations of a nation which was to become one of the greatest powers of the world. What a history these men and women could tell us. Theirs was the task of clearing the land, of breaking the sod, of living in constant fear of the treacherous red men, of making the world safe for democracy. And the purging fires of the great melting pot were molded the characters that were to determine the principles and ideals inherent in the substructure of the nation. Ours is the duty of carrying on and adding to the great task to which they gave their full measure of devotion. With all the advantages of experience and modern improvements which they have placed at our disposal, do we appreciate and make the most of it? Are we adding a proportionate contribution? My father's parents, Christian Larsen and Oline Solhelm, I may murder this Norwegian part here, came from a farm near the community of Bjergstad on the western coast of Norway. Christian's Norwegian Gerhard Nesvan, which means place name, was Karstedt. And Gerd may be translated as place or farm, and one surname is in Norway is derived from this word. When he left Norway, Christian took the name Karstedt. As we have added to the generations in our family of Christian Karstedts, we also have added many new talents. And as you look around in this room, many nationalities. We must ask ourselves, are we using these talents we have been given? And are we appreciating these nationalities that we have brought into our family? Are we adding proportionate contribution to our family? To the younger generation, remember, you come from very sturdy stock. We have an aunt who's 90 here. We have a grandfather who lived until he was in his 80s. That we respect each other and love each other and had a wide range of talents. Please continue this with your generation and your children. In the end, family is what really counts, and family is all you have. We've had a good time. I can't help thinking how much fun my dad would have had if he were here. And I am sure he is up there, standing next to Uncle Alfred with puffed out chest and proudly saying, "That's my kids." Every time we get together, I feel a sense of pride of what my mom and dad have accomplished. They truly have sacrificed in order to make us what we are today. When I think of my children and I look around and I see my nieces and nephews, I say to myself, man, what a good job we've done. You all make us very proud. I hope in the years to come, one of you will be up here and also saying, man, what a good job we've done.
President Maud, our mother, was there on Sunday, and I hope all of you have thought about her. And it's too bad she can't be here tonight, but so be it. Next on the program, we have someone from the Sullivan family. We get blank, we're getting blank looks from the Sullivan family.
You got your chance,
Now, see, we need some stories about Mim as a mother.
Make something up.
Oh, I was in. Oh, shut up.
I was real choked up by that. That was wonderful. I'm very happy to be in this family. And I'm happy to have my own family, and looking around and seeing what my cousins have done. I'm very proud of all of you and what you've accomplished. It's very different than what we do in California. But you're all my age. You are all doing completely different things, and yet we can get together like this, and we can agree to disagree, and we can be very close. And yet we are so different in our attitudes and our way of life. And I'm very there's something to say for that. I feel very close to each and every one of you, and I hope you feel the same way. I know you do, and it makes me very happy. And I'm glad to be a part of all this.
Beginning to get a little big-headed, but she's on the program here, so here's Julie Coupal. Another round of applause.
I don't bring a lighter side to this. Being the oldest of 8 kids, I had my share of spankings growing up. And old brother there. And I was just going to tell one of the stories that I'm going to talk about 2 people that aren't here to defend themselves. One is my dear dad and Jennifer. So they can't even stand here and defend themselves. So back in the days when Minnesota used to get more snow, Mom would start dressing us by the time she got the first one dressed and outside. And by the time she got to the end, the first one was ready to come back in and undress them. Okay? So I remember one time I was always in charge. You know, Mom was either sleeping or working, and I was there taking care of the kids. So one afternoon we had, we must have had about 6 feet of snow out on the ground, and we had big fences or whatever outside, and the snow was just great. So I thought I was going to go outside, and I made Jennifer, who was probably about 4 years old at the time, staying with the babies. I knew I was going to get in trouble, but I did it anyway, because I wanted to go outside. So, and Dad was gone, Mom was sleeping. So I went out, got dressed, already to go out, and I got out to the big snowbank, and there was my father coming down the road. And I ran as fast as I could back to the house. He got to the house same time I got there, and nobody was inside with the babies. And so I thought, I'm going to do the smart thing. I pulled my snowsuit down, I pulled my pants down. I said, Dad, I deserve it. Give me a stand. I had bare butt standing there. And he says, yes, you do. Whack! And like I usually did, I wet my pants.
If you didn't read your instructions properly, and you checked the wrong box, but you have checked the box that said you wanted to give. I have Marm's letter here, she sent me the names of everybody that wanted to give a presentation.
All right, come on, ad lib, come on.
Bring those slides up. No baseball stories.
Mom was a home ec teacher. I mean, the home ec teacher. Knew how to cook, knew how to bake. Oh, I think it was about, Thanksgiving time. And she decided to make pumpkin pie. Oh, Mom's pumpkin pie melts in your mouth. So here's Bobby. You know the appetite Bob had. I mean, takes a little piece like this, put it on a plate, shove it back into the refrigerator, and take the rest of the pie, right? So he took one big bite. I mean, the expression on his face. Bobby, what's wrong? Oh, God, I don't know what Mom did to this pie, but it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. What am I going to do? Well, just, put the pie back and maybe let Dad eat it. So anyway, I told Mom, I said, Mom, your pumpkin pie is really horrible. What'd you do wrong? She took a bite of it. Well, you're supposed to put sugar into the pumpkin pie. Well, instead of sugar, she put salt. We were in charge of supper. And we were supposed to we were going to make macaroni salad for whoever was there helping us work. And I don't know, we must have had a 2-pound box of macaroni. So we put the whole box of macaroni in, and the macaroni kept growing and growing and growing until we took it down to the basement because we had so much. So we are not the perfect people we are today. No one else has any.
With their mother, as you know, every year, for years she came out to visit.
For months, right?
Yeah. And the one had to do with one of our children. I don't know which one it was anymore. It doesn't make any difference. They're small. And your mother's hair was thinning, and she went out and she bought a wig. And she come home and the kid said, "Grandma, where did you get that funny hat?" And the other was one particular time, Grandma was out and my mother was out at the same time for a couple months. And Elaine took her mother out shopping and mine stayed home and was putzing around the house. And when they came home, my mother said, "Well, how'd you do?" She said, "How'd you do?"
Joe, as you saw the other day, had his t-shirt Mr. Manners in the back. This is in fact true, he is Mr. Manners. And whenever he gets a gift from anybody, he always writes a thank you note. It doesn't matter, how big or small, he always writes a thank you note. So our mother was out one winter, and for some reason or another, he had gotten a gift from her. I don't even know what it was for. And the sidelight to the story was that we had, the same winter, we had a whole bunch of new houses built on the end of our block. Well, when they built the new houses, all the rats and mice moved out of that field and moved in with us and all the houses on our block. So we had rat infestation, new and police, scritching in the walls and in the attic. So we finally had to call the health department out. But it was about the same time that my mother left to go home back to Minnesota. So when Joe wrote his thank you note for this gift, he said, "We haven't seen a rat since you left." I think when you move away from home, they can tell you all you want to know about moving away from home, that you're going to miss the weddings and the confirmations and all the wonderful things that go on in the family, but you don't realize it till you, in fact, do move away. So we have to work out in California really hard at keeping our family together, and I think we're doing a remarkable job. We all really appreciate our cousins and our aunts and our uncles and grandmas and grandpas, and we're all very happy you're here. Thank you.
Well, like I say, this is not overly humorous, but it kind of represents... I'm sorry? It kind of represents for me the spirit of the Karstead women. Capital K, capital W. And this is about Ellen. And when Ellen was I don't know, 25 or 26, Joe proposed to her. And she said no and kind of hemmed and hawed and, wasn't really sure what she wanted to do. So Joe waited a while and then he went off and married someone else. And Ellen went to India to teach high school, was it? Okay, so she goes to India, teaches there for, I don't know, 25 years, comes back to America. Joe's been widowed in that time. He proposes to her again, and when Ellen is 50, she gets married for the first time, and they live in Duluth and create wonderful memories for people who live in Minnesota.
Double now, Pop.
Be careful.
Sing a song. Okay, Megan.
All the Christmas programs you've ever seen.
Do you remember the story? Say goodnight, Dick. Little song? Don't leave her like don't leave her like you did Bobby.
I'll get her.
Joel, help her like you did Bobby.
Her walrus impression.
Just gotta get her fingers out of her mouth.
Get your fingers out of your nose.
See, variation of stage fright.
This is what I feel like inside.
This is what I want to do when I get stage fright.
You better get one of those at home and then. Yeah.
Were my age and Bobby's age. Well, remember the long-standing feud between my brother, Pete, and Bobby. The first time we all ever went to California was for Mim and Kurt's 25th wedding anniversary. And,
Let's hear it for Member Kurt. Yay! Kurt! Yay! 40 years now, isn't it? Yay!
we all went to Disneyland, and it was the first time that some of us from Minnesota had ever been to Disneyland. And I think all that Bobby will ever remember about that trip to Disneyland was the fact that all of us spent 3 hours looking for Pete because he took off and nobody knew where he was. And I think that we were all wondering where he was. And Pete was off having a good old time, but the rest of us were all looking for him. And so it was just like, that was the only thing that we heard about for a long, long time. And then another story with that is, this is the one that I'll always remember, is the time that when the Nyharts were living in Bloomington, and Bobby had gotten this great thing maker for his birthday or for Christmas or something. Creepy crawlers, the things that you had that glue stuff and you poured it into the little mold and you baked the mold.
He still has it.
Yeah.
You probably
Everybody over to my place.
Well, Pete filled every single one of the molds that Bobby has, which was about 25 or 50. And so Mark told us that they were up until about 3 a.m. baking all those damn molds because you couldn't get that stuff out until you baked it. So they were up baking all of it, and that was another thing. That's why Bobby will never forget my brother.
Donna Mae got around. But she did have her limits because she went out with Richard Kaler and she didn't again because he kept snapping her garter in the movie. Now all of you look a group like this and you have such a conglomeration and such a combination. I want you to keep in mind that in any situation, whether it's in a family, in a country, or in the whole world, that it is our differences, it is our similarities that make us strong and stable. It is our differences that make us grow. Now Kim Delota will come up here to present the winner of the contest.
Great.
attending because you didn't make it.
They squirted the tubes in.
Full stomachs and fresh breath is their motto. That's 3 now, that's enough. I didn't have a story, one that I couldn't think of that would be, half as entertaining as probably this one that has to do with this, what would you call it, some kind of contest, I guess it's, I don't know. Mrs. Comedian came up to me and she had that look in her eye and I knew she was going to put me up to something. And, she's told me about this contest.
You wanted to do that.
She also put Sean up to it too, and I looked at Sean and I said, Sean, should we really do this? I mean, is this really a good idea? And he says, well, I forgot what he says.
He said if my mom came up with it, no.
Anyway, I said, Sean, I really think we should give your mom a chance to reconsider. Don't you think we should ask her? He says, no, she thinks it's funny. Well, she thought it was funny until we gave her the results. And so, in the end, I'd like to say, this cream's for you. And so the runner-up. Oh, we don't want to talk about the runner-up.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Who's the runner-up? I think we ought to hear all the persons that qualified.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is it.
Should name off the people.
Howard, of course, was elated about the fact that his suspicions all along had been highly confirmed. I didn't think that you thought that poorly of me, that you would select me as the most of it. I live in Ohio, and you live in Minnesota, and the rest of you live in California. You don't even know me.
News gets around.
All they have to do is meet me.
You're so transparent.
Remember, you picked me, I didn't pick you. However, as honored as I am by this, I must forfeit this prize to the second winner-up. Now, before I give the second winner-up, contenders were Dick Karstead, Lisa Friesen, Ole, now Megan, and Elaine. But the second runner-up, I don't think this is any surprise, and I would like to forfeit my prize and give it to Mim Gibson.
Says that because I will not take any pay for babysitting, and I absolutely refuse to take pay to babysit his darling children. Right? And I get stubborn about it. Oh, what should I tell you?
Yes.
Can I peek first? Something under here. Does everybody know the story of my peeking?
Yes.
I'm standing waiting to go tubing
You're connected that way.
down the Apple River.